All right, story time. There was a 22-acre parcel that I had under contract that actually I bought and I owned. And I found a buyer. And with that buyer, they wanted to build a large business development park, which was great. We had a conceptual plan for it. And they said, look, if you can do an assemblage, that means getting the parcels next to it and start expanding our 22 acres and make it bigger, we'll pay you X per acre. I started doing the math. I was like, man, this is awesome. Literally all of the sellers around me have basically won the lottery. And if they won the lottery, I just want to go over there and tell them, hey, we won the lottery. If you're not crazy when it comes down to your numbers on your house, meaning you want to overprice it, I think this is a win-win for everybody. And I want to give you this opportunity. I'm thinking in my head, this is awesome for everybody, not just me, because I'm going to do great on this parcel. And so the address was 3040 Old Tampa Highway, right? And we actually bought it from Habitat for Humanity for over $1 million. And it was the biggest sale they have ever had over here in Lakeland, Florida. And when we purchased it, I started going to the neighbors, and they had little parcels of land. One had a bigger one. I'll tell you about that one. His name was Roberta was the wife, and then Jose Gomez. And I went to the door, and he had a deep voice, a real nice guy. I think he was Dominican, and he owned the land for a long time. He had RVs everywhere, and he had a beautiful home. Needed some work, but it's something that they just live in. I mean, off of Old Tampa Highway is like country. And I go over there, talk to him, I say, hey, Mr. Gomez, my name is Franklin Cruz. I've been attempting to reach you. Now, mind me, before I talk to him, I got the other 3 parcels under contract. Everything was back to back too. I just came back from New York City at the time, meeting with my mentor, talking to him about development. I actually drove over there and drove back in this car, this Tesla. Slept right there created like a little camping area. And it was awesome because I get free supercharging on this car. So anyway, let me get back. So it was awesome. So anyway, I had all the other 3 properties under contract. So now we expanded from 22 acres, and now we're at, I think it was like 30 something acres, and he had about 14 acres. So I said, look, I own the land right next to you, and I think this is a huge opportunity for you and me, obviously, if we can make this work. But they want to pay me X amount of dollars, I forget the exact number, per acre. And I think if you're not crazy with your numbers, like, this could work. We got to figure out, we got to do studies and all this other things, but I think we can make it work. So in the beginning, he was like, hey, people were calling me recently and wanting to sell the property so they could buy the property from him. And so he said, look, I'm kind of up in the air. And I said, look, what do you think the number is? And I think he said it was like 600,000 or 675. And when I started looking at per acre, I was like, that's not unreasonable as long as it's buildable. And so I said, yeah, let's see if we can make it work. So we got under contract. Now, Roberta, his wife, was really ill. If you see one of my other, I think I have this on my Facebook page, you could actually see, like, she's just in really bad shape, bad condition. And she's like, I really want you to sell this property. She's telling the husband this. I really want you to sell this property. It's in horrible condition, and I want you to take this money and do something with it. And he was like, okay. And because she knew she didn't have that long ago. She was in real bad shape. Like, I think she had some kind of cancer that her skin was like just getting decayed, and it was in really bad shape. It was super sad. And I actually took one of the last pictures that they ever had together, because I typically do that whenever I'm doing a transaction. I just like taking pictures, kind of memorizing, the moment, memorializing it. And so we took the pictures, they signed the contract, and then not that long after, Roberto started calling me, he wanted more money. And I was like, Ian, you got to be kidding me. I was like, look, I at the numbers that we're at, I think we're good. But I just found out as well at the same time that he had a huge easement on his property. So there's power lines all the way through his property that I didn't know about. I didn't, they're high up. I didn't understand, like, power lines immediately, they're unbuildable land. It's unbuildable. You can't do anything with it. And all we could do is parking or possibly get retention over there, but it was a big if. And that really, kind of dampened the deal. And then he wanted more money. And then soon after, his wife actually did pass. So long story short, because he wanted more money and the issue, we decided, like, look, the numbers aren't going to make sense if you want more. And this is more non-buildable. Now, I would have gave him what he wanted. And even in today's market, that would have been a huge home run for his property. And he just chose not to go that route. And so we never did the deal. His wife did pass. He never cashed out. He still lives in the property today. And it's like one of those things that, life happens. And for him, he had the opportunity. And what I see a lot when it comes down to, real estate development and just investing and the land side of it is sellers sometimes they over negotiate. And you don't want to be an over negotiator at all. You actually you want to be fair. You want, make the money that you believe that you can make, if that's what you are looking for, and work with somebody who's going to be honest with you and be grateful for it. You don't have to sell, but at the same time too, if you are, be reasonable. And because sometimes then you could lose it all. So you could think that you've got something and then turn around and now you have no deal. So hopefully this helps. This is kind of a longer, short story, but this is the story of Roberta and Jose Gomez, the old Tampa Highway property. So I think it was one of those things that personally, I kind of wish that he would have taken the money. He would have cashed out. He could have probably bought any other piece of property for, $200,000-$300,000, not far from where he was at, because that's what they were going for, and still would have had some money in the bank, and didn't have to deal with his land now. So now his property, probably nobody will ever purchase his land for what we were going to buy it for, at least that I know of, because it would have only been worth it if it was attached to our property that we had. So it is what it is. Lessons learned. All right, hopefully you got something out of it. Bye.